Hi, Alfredo here. In this video, I want to show you how to correctly set up your bins in a warehouse location when advanced warehouse management features are enabled in Business Central. So let's get started with my location, and we're going to find the location Manchester that we set up in another video. You can see that I have all the features enabled, including directed put away and BINS. So the first thing that I need to do to set up my bins is to go through the zones first, because bins must be set up with zones when we have this kind of setup in Business Central. You can see that in my location Manchester, I have a very simple arrangement of my warehouse. My warehouse is divided into 3 zones. Zone A and Zone B for picking and storage, and of course I have one loading bay. Now, Business Central can support many zones, but a setup like this one is very common. So now that we have these 3 zones, we can go and set up our bins. And you can see that I have a very simple arrangement in terms of my bins. I have just 4 digits. A, usually it's the aisle, the number defines the racking, and of course the last letter defines the level. But of course each organization may have a different naming conventions for their bins. So now I can just start typing, and for example, now I want to create a bin which is a B04A, for example. Now bin type code and zone code are now mandatory with this setup, and there is a reason for that. It's because now Business Central will use logic and setup to choose the correct bin and suggest users the correct bin for certain operations without the need of manually type bins into source documents. But both of these fields must be enabled. If I try to save, let's say, this bin and these 2 fields are empty, I will get an error. And the error is about both fields. First of all, I must have a zone to my bin. And let's say this is bin B04A. So let's go to a zone B. But I also need to give Business Central a bin type code. Again, if I try to save it, I will get another warning, another error. So in this case, I want to set up my bin with a mixed use. I will talk about bin types in the next video. The last 2 things that I want to show you in this video is the bin ranking. The ranking is going to determine the priority that Business Central will use when deciding on a bin for a source document, a put away or a pick, when more than one bin is default to an item. Again, more of that in the next video. So you can see that in these two bins, I have the bin B03A with a higher ranking, B04A with a lower ranking. So given the same type of movements, the same type of item, I will get on a source document this bin first and this later. The next thing that I can do is set up cubage and weight maximum, let's say, values. So for example, depending on how your organization calculates cubage, this can be 5 cubic meters and maybe 5,000 kilos in terms of capacity. This capacity is going to be checked by Business Central when we try to put items to this bin. And if capacity is enabled, you will either get a warning or you will get just a stop message saying that you cannot put away items here because it exceeds capacity. Capacity can be disabled though. Can be disabled here in the bin policies. You can see that in my sandbox I have never checked capacity enabled. I can also allow more, but I will get a warning if I try to put away an exceeding capacity. But I can also stop the system from posting documents and movements if the capacity is exceeded. And this is all about setting up bins and zones for a location where warehouse management system features are enabled in Business Central. Thanks for watching.